What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. So in this video we're going to be talking about how to determine your position size. We're going to go over my portfolio rebalancing strategies and a little calculator I created that you guys can also use to try to figure out what your best position size would be to grow your account. So like always, let me go ahead and just share my trading screen for a second. And over here on Trade to Win, I was just going over a lot of my last trades, reviewing them. And over the last few days, or I guess you can say a few weeks, I've been really focusing on my trading strategy. And I'm definitely getting way more confident and knowing exactly what I'm looking for. And remember guys, if you want to check out all of my past trades as they come in, go to Trade to Win and you can see my journey thread there. I'll leave a link in the video description below. There was one thing, however, that kind of kept geeking me out a little bit, and I didn't really have to review the trades fully to understand this, and I've kind of been talking about it during a lot of my live streams. It's sometimes my position sizes are a little bit all over the place. For example, I was depositing some funds on Webull. They weren't fully settled yet, but I was able to trade with some of them. And then I took a trade and it was like a $400 something position size. It was tiny. And then I took another trade on TD Ameritrade in my margin account, which was more funded. That was about a $2,000 position trade. And then I took another trade in my cash account in TD Ameritrade, which was not really fully funded because some of the cash wasn't settled. So that was like a $900 trade. So my trades were just, my position sizes were a little bit all over the place. And it was because I was trying to avoid the pattern day trader rule. I was spreading my new trading account for this $25,000 challenge kind of all over the place. It was kind of cool checking out all these different brokers, even though I did know that I really do enjoy TD Ameritrade, but it did make me realize that I really just want to put my energy in focusing on the strategy and not having to worry about different broker accounts or different position sizes. I wanted all that to be very streamlined in the back of my mind, so I didn't really have to think about that. Actually, it got so kind of crazy at one point. Check out this video somewhere here. I clipped it to the exact point in the live stream where I didn't even know I entered a trade on CLVS because it was a broker I haven't used before. There wasn't the typical alerts I was kind of accustomed to, and I just had no idea I even entered the position. So, I mean, that kind of stuff really is not something you want to be involved in when you are a trader. And that's why I wanted to take a little step back and kind of look at what I already had, what was working for me, and how can I optimize those things. And this is something I already touched on very briefly in my $25,000 challenge video. If you guys have not checked that out, it's a beast, but it's definitely worth a watch. But ultimately in part 3, I talked about how I plan to achieve really good portfolio allocation, which will allow me to maximize my position sizes and maximize the amount of trades I can do under the pattern day trader rule. And that allocation I'll talk about very quickly. So in the month of November, my goal is to end it around $5,000 my overall portfolio. Right now we're about $4,500, which means I want to be entering a trade with about $1,500 per position size. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to allocate $3,000 into my cash account because that account has two-day settling period. So I could trade with $1,500 and then wait 2 days and I get that money back. So in theory, I could trade with this, let's say $3,000 times 2, so $1,500 position size times 2 on, let's say, Monday. I get those 2 trades back on, or I get my cash back by Wednesday. And then again, I could do that same thing. So by Friday, I could then do another 2 trades. So that would be 6 trades total. And then I would take $1,500 in my margin account and I could trade that full amount 3 times, let's say on Monday alone, because it's a margin account. I could trade it. I could constantly get that cash back. There's no settling period, but it's maxed out at 3 trades per 5 business days. So that would add another 3 trades to my past 6 trades on my cash account, which would give me a total of 9 trades. And then at the end of every week, I want to rebalance those accounts. So let's say that 4,500 grew to 6,000 over the next 2 weeks or something like that. And then I can say I have $4,000 in my cash account and $2,000 in my margin account, and then I'll be trading with an average position size of about $2,000. So that's basically how I want to focus on growing my accounts. Then I don't have to be chasing different brokers. I don't have to be worrying about, this cash is still transferring over here. It's all in the back of my mind. I know exactly what I want to be doing with a certain account, and I don't have to think about that. So I can put more energy on focusing on, you know, what's going on in front of me, what are the charts doing, and all that good stuff. Now, before we dive into the calculator, which helped me come to these realizations, remember guys, this is not going to be for everyone. This is really specific to my strategy and my $25,000 challenge. But I think the biggest thing that you guys can take away is just, you know, take a step back, try to figure out what are your goals and how can you best optimize your current situation to reach those goals. And that's basically what I did. And I think that's the biggest thing you could probably take away from this video. So now in the next part, we're just going to dive into what calculator did I use to help me come up with that conclusion. And before we move on to that, if you guys have not done so already, take this moment to stop and click that like button. You would make my day, and you would also help future traders find this content. Also, remember to subscribe and hit that bell icon too if you have not done so already, so you won't miss future videos like this. Okay, so going over to my tradejournal.co, I have a $25,000 challenge tab, which is the first tab on the left. You don't really see it because my face is in the way. Actually, you know what? I can go ahead and show you guys. Right here, there's the $25,000 tab. So if you guys want to check this out so you can play around with it yourselves, there's a link in the video description below, or you can go to tradejournal.co and you can find the example of this tab in the nav bar on that site. Or you can go to my trade to win thread where I talk about all of this, and all the links are also documented there. So let's dive right into it. At first, I had a fairly conservative estimate right here. I would say estimate number 2. And this estimate number 2 said, let's say I had a, you know, completely coin toss, I've been saying coin cost a lot. A completely coin toss win-loss ratio of 50%. My average win was 7%. My average loss was 4% because I was quick at cutting losses. And then I traded with, let's say, 5 trades per week. And the reason I said 5 trades is because that would give me 3 trades on my margin account. And I thought originally I would do 3 trades on my cash account. But then it somehow would never really work out perfectly in terms of, you know, maybe that one last trade I couldn't make on Friday, or that one trade, you know, my settling period didn't come in. So I said, instead of 6, I said 5. And then the trade allocation would always be, you know, full 50%, obviously, because my whole entire portfolio, let's say, is $4,000, $2,000 is in the margin account, and $2,000 is in the cash account. That's why I said 50% trade allocation. And then the weeks trading, all that is just how many weeks per month. And I would say on average, I'm going to be trying to trade every week, unless there's something drastic going on. Worst case scenario, I think I'll miss one day if I'm traveling or something like that. So ultimately, this calculation made me come to the conclusion that if I trade very conservatively and was reaching these estimates, I would reach my 25,000 goal sometime in December of next year, which obviously is very slow, but it's the ultimate conservative route in my opinion. These are numbers I'm fairly confident I can reach, and even with my crypto trading, which there's hundreds of documented trades, my winning ratio is about 64%. My average win is much lower at 1.67. My average loss is 0.95. But the reason those losses or those percentages are much less is because the crypto market moves much slower than the small cap equity market. So, you know, if Litecoin or something like that goes up 2-3%, it's kind of a big move. With these small caps, these things move 30%, 50%, over 100%. We were just trading something that was up 600% in a day. So these have much more aggressive moves. So that's why these are kind of the allocations that I'm kind of putting in for myself. So let's kind of play around with this a little bit. Let's say we hold all this other stuff true, but the only thing we wanted to change was the way we allocated our trades. How many times we're trading based on our general position size, how much cash are we allocating to each one of those trades, so what's our position size, and let's just play around with the numbers a little bit. So you can see all I did here was increase the 5 to 9, the number of trades, because now we can take 3 trades, let's say in our margin account, and 6 trades in our cash account like we talked about before. That would bring the 5 amount of trades to 9 trades. And of course, it wouldn't be a 50% allocation anymore to these trades. It would be a 33% allocation because, again, if we have a $6,000 account size, $2,000 would be in the margin account, $4,000 would be in the cash account, and we would split that cash account kind of into 2. because each time we take a trade, we only use $2,000 per position size. So that would bring the trade allocation to 33% of our portfolio size. Now you can see with just moving the numbers around and starting with the same $4,000 position size, we would now reach our goal in October instead of December. So that would put us ahead quite a lot, doing absolutely nothing more, just moving some numbers around. This is actually much better because it makes each individual trade less consequential, which means if we have a big loser or a big winner, it won't really affect the account too much. Those outliners will lose some of their power and it'll put more focus on the average trade, which is really, really good. It's more of a risk management strategy as well than anything else. So I really, really like this kind of setup. Now, if we are able to kind of increase our winning percentage, I've been taking profits a little bit too quickly, but as our account size grows and maybe I am able to slow down taking my profits and we have some of those 30-40% gainers, which I think we can have. I have done it before. Then, let's say this even just goes up to 8% or something like that. You can see that this would have a massive change in our timeline. So we would reach our goal now in August, which is now less than 10 months away. So let's just play with the numbers a little bit more. Now, we know that my winning ratio with crypto trading is about 64%. And right now with the small caps, it's about 61%. But let's just be conservative and let's just say my winning ratio goes to 60%. And a lot of the best traders out there have winning ratios usually around 70%, sometimes high 60s, about 68%. So I'm not going to say, the winning ratio goes to 70, 80%. That's just, I think, way too high. I mean, it could happen, but I don't really expect that. So let's just say a conservative 60%. So let's say we take 10 trades, then 6 of those trades, we will be right. Now you can see that we would hit our $25,000 sometime between end of June and maybe even early July. So that again puts us ahead a little bit. So I just want to kind of identify this a little bit right here. So now we would only be about $9,000 away from reaching our $25,000 account challenge. And you can see the growth is very, very exponential. So these first few months is really just, we're not really making that much money. We're really focusing on building a foundation, not losing any money, focusing on risk management, focusing on allocation and all those little things. And once we hit our $25,000 challenge, then, then we start making some real profit every month, and then we could really grow account very, very quickly. I hope this makes a lot of sense for you guys. And again, I definitely encourage you guys to check out this calculator or build your own and try to figure out what your ideal portfolio allocation is. How can you grow your account not just as quick as possible, but as safe as possible to reach your goals even quicker? And I hope you guys were able to understand about my decision, why I'm allocating my account the way I'm allocating it, and why I plan to constantly rebalance it by the end of every week. All right, guys, hit that like button if you have not done so already. I will see you on Monday for the morning watch list and opening bell live trading. Have a great rest of your guys' weekend. Till then, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.